Hello to all and welcome to our program Unlock Clarity. We are with William Isley and we are really happy to be here with you today. We are going to have a lot of fun with our program. So, how are you, William, today?
I'm doing very well. It's nice. How about you?
I I am doing well too. It's the kids started the school, so everything is okay. so, so today, what?
I was saying just that's funny.
Today, the program is going to be about the power of empathy and vulnerability. So it's something. It's a topic that is very interesting. Uh, if any of you have any comments or questions, last week we had a lot of good conversation with the people that was listening to us. So more than happy to have a conversation with you. We have Adele saying hi. Hello, Adele. How are you? So if you have any questions, for sure we're here to help you and let us know anything that you are going through. Today we are not exactly in Spanglish. There is some things that is happening with Spanglish, but it's okay. We are here with you. So, talking about this topic, empathy and vulnerability. We have been talking about in the last weeks about these feminine energies that is not specifically for women or men, but it's for both. Uh, Another thing that it's very important to say, and that's something that we were discussing exactly before our program started. Uh, Everybody has their own maps in their minds of how they see the world. So if I can give you the example very simple. What happens if I have my glasses that are red and everything is red? So until I start to realize and be aware that I have these glasses wear and I am wearing these glasses and I am seeing everything red, nothing is going to change, or maybe I can improve some things, but not really at the level that I can until I start to eliminate these glasses and I start to see things as they really are. So that's something that requires work, requires knowledge, requires awareness, requires a lot of things, and that's one of the reasons I have as my word, one of my words, having this consciousness or awareness, because I know that there is a lot of things that I don't know, and I do it even wrongly just because I don't know, not because I want to.
One of the phrases that I use a lot is I live here. This is normal. Whether it's correct, incorrect, proper, not proper, I live here. This is normal. What's wrong with it?
And the idea is to be realizing like what is the awareness. Why? Because the problem when I live here is like I don't want to know, and the idea with the I live here is I want to know what else, what is the missing points that I have in my life, or anything. So that's maybe something important to say. So empathy, in our point of view, is the heart bridge. So it's how we connect with the heart, and when we are connected with others, that's the ability to understand what is happening with other people. So it's very important. When I want to connect with William, I need to have this empathy to start to understand anything that he's going through. We can even share the feelings. But there is something that I want to ask you also, William, when with all the things that you have realized until now, until the awareness that we have now, it's in regards of empathy. I can have a lot of empathy with another person, but that doesn't mean that that makes me responsible for anything that the other person is going through. So how we can start to connect that difference?
I'm attempting to remember something that I learned a long time ago, the distinction. Um, and it's not coming to mind right now, but it's like there's that sensitivity part, there's that empathy part, and we sometimes get them mixed up because we think that because we have empathy for somebody, that it's something about uh, sympathy, right? We mix up sympathy and empathy. And so, yeah, empathy allows for a deeper level of intimacy sometimes. And one of my therapists said, pronounced it, intimacy is into me, see into me. And so if I understand what you're feeling, what you're going through, um, yeah, I like this Carl Jung quote that it assumes that I have a finely tuned imagination as well as well functioning senses. Because in order to understand what you're going through, what you're feeling, I have to be able to imagine myself in that space and then pick up on the cues that my body is giving that you might also be feeling. Maybe
Mhm.
not. So,
Yeah,
did I answer the question?
yes, I believe, and we can continue like going a little bit deeper because something that we, for example, when we are having empathy, we can understand what is happening in the other person, and that's what we are talking here. It like help us to deepen our connection, connect with the kindness that we can have, and enhance our ability to understand. That's something that is like okay in the space of what we are talking here, but sometimes it's confused like if if I am connecting with you and you are in a lower level of frequency or vibration, and with the empathy, what can happen a lot of the times is that I am going to connect to the same level and I am going to start to interact in the same level.
Is that where the sympathy part and the confusion would come in?
Exactly.
Because if I stay as an empath, um, then I can help you. But if I flip over into the sympathy part and I start feeling sorry for you, that's when the misunderstanding happens, and that's when I slip down to that lower level of vibration and those supposedly bad feelings.
Exactly. And at the end, this is very important what you are saying now, because at the end, we don't believe that emotions are good or bad. It's they are, and they are only like a thermostat to tell you, like, okay, now that you're feeling bad, it's because, and you have these emotions that are very bad. It's telling you, okay, what is happening? What are your thoughts? What is the programming that you have inside of you? And that can help you to start to realize, like, oh, I have a program inside of me. Some of the maps that I have created in my mind are telling me that I have these red glasses, and I have to find out how to fix it. And it's like I can do that with a book, I can do that with a coach, I can do that with a mentor, I can do that with other people that loves me. So the idea is to find somebody that can help you to go ahead and find the solution for that. But yes, I believe you explained it very well. When empathy, we are not telling that you have sympathy. Hello, Adele. Nice to that you have your audio back. So empathy and sympathy, it's something different. But with the empathy in me, I can connect with you and I can understand what is happening and I can help you. uh, but with the sympathy, we just connect and we cry together and that's it. It's maybe the only thing that happens. or I start to judge you. That's the other thing that can happen also, and that's not what we are talking with empathy.
So then, shall we move on to vulnerability?
Yeah.
And I love this one, the strength of openness, because vulnerability, and it for being male and having a lot of feminine energy, it's like I grew up with the idea that vulnerability was a weakness, and it's truly a strength. The ability to let others in and have the courage to uh, let somebody see what's going on, and so forth and so on. That's huge. That allows for true connection instead of just surface level, whatever you want to call it. Insert your expletive here.
So when we are talking about vulnerability, something that is key from what we believe is there is no way you can really connect in a deeper level with somebody if you're not vulnerable. That's why the strength of openness is when I start to share my problems and I start to share my situation and I start to share the things that I am going or the thing that I went in the past, I open the bridge and I open the heart and I open everything to start to have a connection with you, with anybody that is here.
We
Uh,
become relatable.
exactly. There is no other way we can become relatable until we start to have that connection.
Exactly. And without vulnerability, we can't really realize our desires or be the fullest expression of ourselves. That whole stepping into authenticity part.
And that's exactly at the end when we are authentic, we are vulnerable, we connect. If we are not authentic, we are putting a mask. And I had a conversation a few months ago in the other program that I have, the Believe in Yourself. I had a mom of, I don't know, it was like 13 kids. So it was a lot. And one of the things that I asked her how she survived, and she was telling me it was through having masks. She has a mask when she was at the school saying like she's the perfect mom and everything is perfect. When she was at work, she was the perfect guy, the person working and everything was perfect. So she needed to have a lot of faces, and the problem with that is that you are trying to hold like you have a lot of pressure. The person that was having the pressure was her, trying to keep all the faces around like, and and that is exhausting, and she was even dying at the end. She stopped like twice or three times at the hospital because of having all those faces. There is a lot of energy that you are losing when you have to keep a face instead of being authentic and vulnerable of okay, this is really what is happening.
And I just thought of, as you were saying that, uh, here in America, 20 odd years ago, there was a movie that came out called Mrs. Doubtfire with Robin Williams. And at the end of the movie, he's drunk and forgets who he's supposed to be at any one moment and goes back and forth from family to whoever this other guy was in charge of the TV show. And he starts showing up as different people because he forgot. It turned out okay at the end of the movie. It's just um, that, yeah, he
And the other thing when you are talking about vulnerability is we don't say that you have to do it with everyone. Of course, it's better if you are if you are open, but start to understand with whom you want to create that connection. So it's like I don't want to connect deeply with everyone. It's the same. It's like, yes, do I want to connect deeply with William? Yes, I like the way he thinks. I like to understand everything that he's going. He can understand anything, so I can be open and I can be vulnerable with him. So it's the same. It's like, okay, when I am working talking with my wife, so it's like, can be myself, or I have to create another version of myself to be with her. So that's, if I have to create another version, it's because there is something wrong that you need to fix. If I can be myself, I can be vulnerable and I can share, oh yeah, I did a mistake here, and realize like what this was the lessons, or I am in the process of understanding what are the lessons, and it's okay. But the idea is to create that type of a relationship.
Yeah. And that you bring up a really good point, that it's not always safe to be vulnerable with everyone, especially if being vulnerable is going to get me hurt worse or more than I already have been. Is this person safe? If they're not, then masks are okay because, you know, getting, I don't even know what words I'm trying to look for here. Being hurt is not okay in certain situations, because being re-traumatized, it's no thanks, I'm good without that. So yeah.
So the five action steps that we always like to finish, like what are the things that we recommend you to start to do, to start to unlock this clarity, unlock the potential that you have with empathy and vulnerability, is first active listening. Uh, so I know that sometimes it seems that we're repeating from other programs, like again talking about this, but repetition first is the mother of. So it's going to really help you to start to find it. It's like, yeah, yeah, today I was talking also to William, like last week I was listening to the same audio of a book like five times, and in the fifth time in the same week I was like, oh, this is new, I didn't realize this. So at the end, that happens a lot with this type of things. So active listening is important. There is no way you can foster empathy if you are not listening actively. I am not saying only listening, but actively, like, yeah. What do you mean with that? That's what we are meaning with active listening. Like, okay, what do you mean with vulnerability? Why you mean that? So trying to understand what the other person is telling you, not only listening, but active listening is starting to understand what is the perspective, the feelings, what are the words that the other person is using. So that's the first step.
And I would add to that, going back to the quote about the imagination part, is being able to, with the active listening, is being able to imagine walking a mile in someone's shoes as they're telling their story, as they're relating what's going on, is being there with them. And then we move into number two, which is the self-reflection part. And I realize that some of us don't necessarily like our reflections in the mirror, so this can be a challenge. Um, but it's going through and doing the regular self-reflection so that it can enhance the self-awareness. And because if we're unable to recognize and understand our own vulnerabilities, um, if I don't know about it, I can't take ownership of it. And if I can't take ownership of it, I can't change it.
Exactly. And And there is something that I want to add with this self reflection, that is something that I am starting to do. I am not saying that I am already there, but I am starting. Is in the self reflection can be the journaling that you can have, and the starting point that I am saying is having like a gratitude journaling. So, what are you grateful about? Why? Because gratitude is one of the things that really helps you to get to the next level in anything. Anything. So it's like, okay, I am going through a problem in my job and nothing is working in my job. Okay, let's start to write what are the things that I love about my job, and the people that I love about my job, and the things that I love about anything that is happening. So I start to change my perspective, because when I am in a something wrong, something that is very negative, maybe I can see it. I don't see anything good. But when you start to be grateful, it's like, okay, these are the three things that I am really grateful about. So self reflection is really good, and if you do it with gratitude, it's going to be much better. The third point is embrace your vulnerability. So there is some things that maybe you don't want anybody to know, but start to acknowledge them, start to accept them. And when you acknowledge and accept, you start to open the space to healing and to fix it. And that's the reason we are saying you don't have to say it to everyone, but know with whom you can talk and with whom you can open your heart and start to be really you. And if you don't have anybody, find someone. You need someone. At the end, we are humans that we need to interact with others.
And the fourth one is open communication. And so that's a great one that I was going to point out for learning how to accept my vulnerabilities. If I don't have an open communication channel with myself, um, it's very difficult to have empathy or be vulnerable with myself, because that would imply that I liked me. And so, and some of us don't, or we were taught by abusive partners not to like ourselves. That was an interesting aha that I had this weekend. Um, I talked about that on Sunday Spirit Talks, um, but it's learning how to practice open and honest communication so that we can cultivate the empathy and be able to express the vulnerability in a healthy manner. And if you're not in a position where you can find someone right now, um, you you might know two people though who would be good at that. Practice this with yourself. This will be difficult if you're not used to it already. So we move into number 5.
Yeah, the last point is empathize with yourself. It's like everything starts with yourself always. So start to be like, understand and accept your own emotions, anything that you are going through, even the self-compassion, and support yourself and emotionally, physically, everything. Like, okay, how I am I? It's like, do I need something else? Like at this moment, I need to go out and start to walk just to start to clean up my head, or I need to have a deep conversation, or I don't have the space to do it. I need to have a deep conversation with myself. Like anything that you need to do. So start the empathy with yourself, and that's the action 5. So this is any last comment, uh, William, for today?
I'm starting to believe it's been forever trying to understand what people talk about when they talk about shadow work. And maybe, just maybe, this is part of it, is learning to see and accept ourselves as we are.
And from that point, we can change. But if we don't accept what we have and we are fighting against, we can change. There is no way we can change. We are judging and we are affecting and we are going deeper in the problem. instead of really started to understand how to move and accept. So William, thank you for today. It was really good. Thank you, everyone that was listening to us. Adele, I hope that you had a very good time with us and everybody that was listening. So, see you next week. Next week is going to be very powerful. We are going to be talking about unleashing the heart and the connection between love and empowerment. So, you are going to love it. I really know that this is a very good topic for us. So see you next week at the same time. Thank you, William. Thank you all. See you. Bye.